We're back out here at the Big Lake once again, and today we're talking about some tips, tricks, and hacks that I use to make October fishing so much easier. I'm going to share them with you, including some I'm sure you don't know. Stick around, you don't want to miss this one. Oh, I got him. He came back for it. Oh, that's a nice one. Whoa, don't go too far, Bob. And here is this video's featured comment. Congratulations! If you would like to have a chance to have your comment featured in an upcoming video, all you've got to do is leave a comment. And now, on with the video. Welcome back to Lowbrow Fishing, and here we are. It's October already. That means the fall transition is in full swing, especially for a lot of you anglers up north. Here in the south, it's dragging behind just a little bit, but it's still gaining momentum as each and every night those temperatures are getting a little cooler and that water's getting a little bit cooler. So what does that mean? Well, it means that we need to adjust and change our tactics about how we go about fishing. We've talked before about trying to locate those bass, right? As we can see here, those bass, they've grouped up deep all summer long. Now, they're following those traditional routes as they head up shallow for their wintering home. Along the way, they're going to be stopping at certain points along those routes, resting up, feeding, doing whatever. Those are going to be the points that we want to target, as we've said before. Now, one of the biggest things that we can use to target them is, well, something like a good old Texas rigged worm. But not just any Texas rigged worm. I've got the old tail spinner on it. You guys remember this? Adding just a little bit of flash on that will draw a little bit more attention, get a few more bites, especially if you've got just a little bit stained water or you've got some mixing going on. There's some current, there's some chop on top of the water, you've got some wind, you've got some overcast. Under those conditions, a tail spinner worm can be a great way to elicit a few bites. And, you know, I'm not fishing it on anything special. Right here, I've got it on 30-pound braid to a 20-pound fluorocarbon leader, and I've got, you know, just a 1/4 ounce bullet weight, and I've got my, you know, weight floating free because I was using this to fish heavier vegetation. There is a spot that I was fishing today that's right along a submerged creek channel that's got a line of hydrilla, and that's what I was targeting. And this was doing very, very well. If you're fishing, you know, more rocky bottom, if you're fishing more, you know, empty, hard bottom, then you can get away with 10, 12-pound fluorocarbon, and that should work just fine. Me, I was fishing a little bit of slop, so that's why I went with that. But don't rule out a Texas rig or even one that's got a tail spinner on it. Whenever you find those bass that are hanging on wood or rock piles or something like that, and they're just chilling, it's hard for them to resist a worm that's just being dragged in front of their face. I'm telling you, they will go nuts for that, and you'll end up getting a lot of bites. There we go. All right. Now, another thing we want to look at, and this is where we're getting to that time of year, is a good swim bait bite. But if you notice, I don't have just any swim bait tied on here. Many of you will recognize this as what you guys called the lowbrow rig, where I take a swim jig, take the skirt off of it, and I've got a Keitech swing impact just mounted to the back of that. And this is great for using through that thick and heavy vegetation. I can't tell you how many fish I've caught doing that. And during the colder months, as those fish have started to come up shallow and they start to look for those spots to sun, especially in those northern climates where we're starting to get temperatures down in the 40s at night. And some of you, northern Minnesota, northern Wisconsin, I'm looking at you, you're getting down into the 30s at night. So you're finding where those fish are looking for rock piles, wood piles, places that hold heat. And they're setting up on that as that heat radiates into the water. They're getting a little bit of warm up and then they're moving along. Again, this is going to be absolute money in that area. I'm just fishing it. I'm slow rolling it right across. I'm not doing anything fancy with it. I'm fishing it just like I would an ordinary swim bait. And, you know, I've got this on my spinner. I've got 12-pound fluorocarbon here, 7-foot, medium heavy with a moderate fast action tip, because I like to have that softer tip because I'm side hooking these. I'm not doing these like I would a Texas rig or a jig where I'm reeling down and setting the hook. I'm easing into this, I'm side hooking those, and that gives me a lot better hookup ratio. But what is one of the most important things that we as anglers can do as that temperature gets colder, as those fish become a little bit more lethargic? Well, you've got something like this, good old lipless crank, cotton cordell, you know, super spot. I love these things. I have caught so many fish on this particular bait. But what we need to do is we actually need to downsize. You see how much smaller this one is? This is the 1/2 ounce size. This is the 1/4 ounce size. And you can see the difference, how much smaller this one actually is. And this is more what I'm throwing right now. As we've talked about, that bait fish, those bait fish are small. They've just hatched. They've gotten, you know, they've just gotten a good start in life, but they're not very big. They're an inch, couple inches long. And something like this really mimics that. Something along, you know, these lines as well. Right here, this, you know, another cotton cordell super spot, another 1/4 ounce variety. And this is in a more shad, or you can even use it as a shiner or a minnow. And again, this works great. But something that I'm doing, I'm taking it one step further, and that is I'm taking mine and I'm drilling a hole in the bottom of them and filling them full of super glue and baking soda. And what that does is, well, it gums up those rattles. So instead of sounding like this, it sounds more like this. Now, it's still got a little bit of rattle to it, and that's fine. You know, a little bit of noise is okay. You're never going to eliminate that completely because those hooks are moving and you've got some hardware on it. It's always going to have some kind of noise. But this guy right here, today, this thing was the star of the show. Now, I've added a little bit of red paint to it, you know, kind of make it look like it's bleeding, kind of make it stand out just a little bit. But this silent approach, okay? Now, Thunderhawk is the only company I know of that you can buy off the shelf silent lipless cranks. Strike King used to offer a silent red-eye shad, but I haven't seen one of those in a long time. Honestly, I don't know if they still make it. I would like to find out because it used to be a really killer bait, and I don't have any anymore. They're, well, they're buried on a few tree pounders, if you know what I mean. So if you can get just a little bit of time, take just a little bit of time, just drill a small hole in the bottom of it and fill it full of super glue and baking soda a little bit at a time until you get the result you want. It may take a little bit of practice, but for heaven's sake, whatever you do, you're using a drill on something that's got hooks on it. So take the hooks off first before you do that, and be careful because you can, you know, really hurt yourself if you're not careful. Oh, I got him. He came back for it. Oh, that's a nice one. Whoa, don't go too far, Bob. He came back for it. He came back for it. Ooh, nice. Oh, he T-boned it too. Nice 2-pound bass. Oh, I had him good. He wasn't going anywhere. I had you good. You wouldn't go anywhere. Nice little... And that's what... On that silent crank. Let me go ahead and get Charlie off of here. Alright, well, he hit it. I missed the hook set, and then he came back for it. Nice bass. Thank you, little buddy. Gorgeous 2-pound bass right there. Beautiful 2-pound bass. Caught it on the silent lipless crank. Sayonara. All right, let's go get another one. Try it out. I'm telling you, this thing right here will catch more fish than you ever thought possible. And it will turn you on to the world of silent crankbaits. Not just lipless crankbaits, but using silent square bills, using silent deep divers. You will find that a lot of times that action of the bait moving through the water is all you need. It's like those old balsa Bagley baits, right? Those things are still money. You know, the Rapala DT6 and the Ox Garage, those things are still made out of balsa, and they are still excellent baits. They make absolutely no rattle whatsoever in the water because they're made out of solid balsa. Get in the habit of not being afraid to use silent crankbaits, especially in the fall, because those fish are starting to get a lot more lethargic. They're starting to slow down and starting to get a little bit sluggish, especially up north. And the best way to take advantage of that is by making your presentation just a little bit more quiet. I'm telling you, it'll really put you on a lot more fish. So there you have it. A few simple, easy bait choices, a few simple modifications, and one that may be a little bit more complex, but in the end is well worth learning how to do, will totally change how you fish in the fall. It will be a complete game changer, as they say. Not only will you find that there's more fish in the areas you didn't think there were fish in, but you'll be catching bigger fish more consistently. Try it out. I know you'll have great results. Thanks for watching Lowbrow Fishing. We'll catch you in the next one.